Peekaboo, Wyoming, a name barely visible on most maps. The forest around it had slept undisturbed for decades, thick with pine and silence. Locals called it cursed, but 5 curious souls thought otherwise. They came looking for forgotten stories. Ava, the student journalist with a shaky flashlight and a sharper mind. Miles, the cameraman who laughed too loud to hide his nerves. Toby, the history major who believed every ghost tale ever written. Jess, practical and skeptical, dragged along as the group's anchor. And Harlan, their guide, a man of few words and too many cigarettes. They didn't expect to find a school bus. It stood crooked among the trees, its yellow body dulled with rust. Windows cracked like spiderwebs. Nature had swallowed it, vines choking the tires, moss hugging the metal. But no trail led to it. No broken branches. No tire marks. As if it had simply appeared there. Inside, everything was still. Dust danced in the stale air. An old lunchbox sat on one of the seats. A child's shoe lay sideways in the aisle. Then Ava found the note. It was under the driver's seat. A torn scrap of paper, smeared with dirt, except for the spot where it lay. That part of the floor looked freshly wiped, almost polished. The note read, "I'm here." No date. No name. Just those 2 words in all caps, scratched in with something jagged. Ava's breath caught. She turned around to show the others, but they weren't behind her anymore. She was alone in the bus. Ava stood frozen, staring at the handprint on the fogged window. It was small, no bigger than a 5-year-old's, and perfectly shaped. 5 fingers. A thumb. Even the swirl of a fingerprint in the condensation. But what stopped her heart wasn't the print itself. It was the warmth radiating from the glass. As if the hand had been there just now. She stepped back slowly. No sound. No wind. No birds. Her flashlight buzzed, flickered, and died. The forest inhaled. Ava exhaled, too loud in the stillness. Then came a laugh. Childish. Hollow. Behind her. She turned. Nothing. But the handprint was gone. She stumbled out of the bus, the trees closing in tighter than before. The sky had dimmed unnaturally, like clouds moved in, but slower. Thicker. Unseen. Guys? Ava called out again. Nothing. She moved forward. Turned a corner. Another patch of trees. Then she saw it, the same bus. Same dents. Same cracked windshield. She walked around it. This time the door was shut. Impossible. She had just left it open. She reached for the handle, and stopped. A second handprint. Same size. Same shape. But this one was on the outside. A whisper came from inside the bus. Not words. Just a breath. Ava stepped back. Her phone still had no signal. She opened the camera, just in case. She pointed it at the window. Through the screen, she saw movement. Something inside. Sitting on a seat. Small. Not moving. Watching. But when she looked with her eyes, the bus was empty. She blinked. Looked again. Still empty. Then, a tap. On the window. She dropped her phone. And from behind the bus came a faint, broken crying. Like a lost child. Or something pretending to be one. Ava walked toward the sound, hands trembling, breath sharp and shallow. Her body was telling her to run. But something in her mind whispered stay. Behind the bus, tucked into a bed of rotting leaves and moss, was a small wooden box. Handmade. Covered in dirt. Carved with strange, looping symbols that didn't look American. Or even human. She knelt and opened it. Inside, a pile of bones. Tiny. Fragile. And in the middle, folded neatly, a piece of paper. She picked it up. It had a drawing. A child's crayon sketch of a school bus. With red circles where the windows should be. And stick figures looking out. Each one had no face. Except one. The smiling one. Standing outside the bus. Thunder cracked, but there were no clouds. Ava ran, heart in her throat. The forest seemed to twist around her, every tree leaning, watching. She broke through a wall of vines, and froze. Another bus. But this one was blackened. Twisted. As if fire had touched it and then vanished without finishing the job. It hissed quietly in the cool air. Still. She felt pulled toward it. Not by curiosity, by something colder. Like gravity. As she approached, she heard her name whispered from the inside. Ava. A hand appeared in the window. Same size. Same print. But this time, it was pressed from the inside. And behind the glass, something moved. Ava didn't scream. Not yet. She backed away slowly, staring at the handprint. It was still there, perfectly formed on the fogged glass, tiny fingers stretched like a silent cry for help. And then it vanished. Just faded away, like breath on a mirror. She turned and ran, pushing through the brush, calling for the others. Jess. Toby. Miles. Her voice cracked. Only the echo answered. Suddenly, a voice. Soft. Behind her. Ava. She turned so fast she tripped over a root. She landed hard, breath knocked out. But she saw something, a figure. Not one of her friends. A child. Standing between the trees. Face too pale. Eyes too dark. Watching. Then, gone. Ava scrambled up and ran again, until she saw it. Another school bus. But this one was burned. And inside it, someone was moving. Ava didn't scream. Not yet. She backed away slowly, staring at the handprint. It was still there, perfectly formed on the fogged glass, tiny fingers stretched like a silent cry for help. And then it vanished. Just faded away, like breath on a mirror. She turned and ran, pushing through the brush, calling for the others. Jess. Toby. Miles. Her voice cracked. Only the echo answered. Suddenly, a voice. Soft. Behind her. Ava. She turned so fast she tripped over a root. She landed hard, breath knocked out. But she saw something, a figure. Not one of her friends. A child. Standing between the trees. Face too pale. Eyes too dark. Watching. Then, gone. Ava scrambled up and ran again, until she saw it. Another school bus. But this one was burned. And inside it, someone was moving. Ava clicked her flashlight. Nothing. Then it blinked on, for 1 second, revealing something across the clearing. Miles. Standing. Staring. Pale. Still. Miles, she called. No answer. She ran toward him, but with every step forward, he didn't get closer. She blinked. He was gone. Her light flickered again. This time, he was right behind her. But when she turned, only trees. And a note, pinned to one of them with a rusty nail. You were always alone. She stumbled backward and pulled out her phone again, still dead. Then it vibrated. Once. The screen lit up, just a black screen. Then static. Then. Miles's face. He was filming himself. Whispering. "It's not the forest," he said. "It's memory. It's feeding. It's learning." Then came another face in the background. Toby. Eyes wide. Mouth open. Not screaming, just held open. Then, darkness. The phone powered off again. Ava felt the ground tilt slightly beneath her feet, as if the forest were breathing. Ava walked, stumbling through thicker brush, not even sure what direction she was going anymore. That's when she saw it. A tree, black and gnarled, standing apart from the rest. On its bark was carved a single eye. Not drawn. Carved deep. Still weeping dark sap like blood. Below it, more carvings, dozens of names. She stepped closer. Jess. Miles. Toby. And then, her name. Ava. Scratched in shakier strokes. As if someone carved it while crying. Then, just beneath it, 3 words. "You never left." Ava heard heavy breathing. Then coughing. She followed it, desperate now, until she reached a clearing filled with smoke. There he was. Miles. On his knees. Burned. Shirt torn. Face blistered on one side. Eyes red. But alive. "Ava, run." She dropped beside him. "What happened to you? Where are the others?" He coughed, trying to speak, but something shifted in his throat, like a growl beneath his voice. His eyes rolled back. His mouth opened wide. And in a perfect child's voice, he whispered. "Do you want to play again?" And from inside his mouth, a small, pale hand reached out. The second bus looked like it had been through a firestorm. Its metal was melted in places, blackened and crumbling. Trees around it were scorched, but the ground was cold. Long dead. Ava approached carefully. The door creaked open on its own. Inside, the air stank of rust and smoke. Seats were twisted and charred. But deep inside, something shifted. A figure moved past a broken window, quick, jerky, like a shadow that didn't want to be seen. She stepped inside. "Hello." Nothing. Until a voice answered. But it wasn't a whisper. It was a chorus. All around her, children's voices, layered, out of sync, almost chanting. "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here." Then something fell, a photo, floating from the ceiling. It showed the 5 of them. Ava, Miles, Jess, Toby, and Harlan. Taken that very morning. But they hadn't taken any photos yet. And behind them, barely visible, was a child. Face blurred. Smiling. Ava stumbled back from Miles, or, what was pretending to be Miles, her breath ragged, panic clawing at her ribs. Behind her, the smoke from the trees began to swirl unnaturally, like it was chasing her. She broke into a run, not knowing where she was going anymore, only that she needed to move. And that's when she saw it. Through the thinning smoke. A second bus. Half melted. Frame twisted like something had screamed in fire. Glass shattered. Metal blackened. But there were shapes inside. Moving. And when she stepped closer, the bus buzzed, not electrically, but like a hive, alive with invisible things. Then a door creaked open on its own. Ava stepped inside. Each step crunched on glass. The floor felt warmer than it should. Then she saw them. Figures. Sitting in the bus seats. Jess. Toby. Harlan. Miles. All of them, facing forward. Not speaking. Not blinking. Perfectly still. Like dolls arranged for a class photo. Ava stepped closer. Jess. Jess didn't move. But her mouth opened slightly. And from it, came a whisper in Ava's own voice. I left you first. Ava froze. Then every mouth opened at once. And all four whispered the same phrase. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. She ran. But the bus door slammed shut behind her. She pounded on the door. It wouldn't budge. Then the windows began to fog. All at once. Like a sudden breath filled the entire bus. Outside, something moved. A child. Standing still, just beyond the glass. Watching. Same as before. Same blank face. Same two wide eyes. Ava stepped back down the aisle, but the aisle seemed longer now. More rows than before. Endless. And every seat now had someone sitting in it. But none of them had faces. Just smooth, skin-like blankness where eyes and mouths should be. And they all turned toward her. Together. The child outside stepped forward and placed something against the window. A drawing. Crayon on old paper. It was a picture of Ava, in the bus, surrounded by faceless figures. Her mouth sewn shut with red lines. Her hands held down. In the corner of the paper, written in jagged, uneven handwriting. Do you remember? She wanted to scream. But couldn't. Literally, her voice didn't come out. She touched her throat, it felt stiff. Cold. Then she looked down at her arms. They had handprints on them. Small. Like a child's. But too many. Too many. At the front of the bus was a mirror. Like the kind school bus drivers use. Ava stepped toward it. At first, she saw nothing. Just fog. Then the fog cleared. And she saw herself. But the mirror version of her smiled. And the real Ava did not. The reflection tilted its head. Raised a hand. And knocked on the inside of the glass. Once. Twice. Then behind her, every seat in the bus began to whisper her name in unison. Ava. 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 She turned. All the faceless passengers were now standing. Miles woke up flat on his back. He didn't remember falling. Last thing he saw was Ava walking into the bus. Then everything went black. Now, he was in the woods. Alone. He checked his camera, dead. But the light blinked once. Then again. It was recording something. He rewound. It showed Ava walking into the bus. Then static. Then. His own face, eyes wide, screaming. But he didn't remember screaming. Then, a shape behind him. Pale. Small. The footage ended there. Miles stood, heart racing. He had to find the others. He had to. A whisper. His name. Close. Too close. He spun around, and there, 5 feet away, stood Toby. Or someone wearing Toby's skin. Miles gripped his camera like it was the last piece of reality he had. The screen was cracked, flickering, but when he pressed play, it whirred to life with a low, sick hum. The footage started with static, then a familiar frame appeared. His own face. He was panting, terrified. The camera trembled in his grip as he whispered to himself. It's not the forest. It's a loop. A trap. It makes you remember things that never happened. His voice was fractured, panicked, like someone who'd seen too much and couldn't unsee it. Behind him in the video, a figure emerged. Toby. But something was off. Toby's face wasn't moving. It didn't blink. It was expressionless, like a mask stretched over something else. Something too still. Then came the scream. Miles, in the footage, whipped the camera around and let out a cry, raw and primal. The lens spiraled, capturing flashes of trees, dirt, and then something worse. A frame froze on Ava, inside a bus. But not the one they'd seen. Behind her, just outside the window, stood a child. Small. Pale. And smiling. The footage cut to black. And then, from the real forest, a faint child's voice. Do you want to see it again? The forest around Miles dimmed. Not darker, just emptier. As if color and time had bled out of the world, leaving behind only sound. He froze. Leaves crunched softly behind him. Miles. He turned, heart hammering. Jess. But she wasn't supposed to be there. Not like this. She stepped forward slowly, her arms at her sides, her smile too wide. It's okay now, she said, voice echoing like a skipping record. We're together again. Jess, he whispered. Miles, she said again, perfectly calm. I remember what you did. He blinked. She vanished. And in her place was a mirror, cracked and standing against a tree. His reflection inside wasn't mimicking him. Miles stumbled back from the mirror, his breathing uneven, throat dry as ash. He tried to retrace his steps, but the trees weren't the same. No path. No markers. The forest had shifted. Everywhere he turned, he saw flashes of memories that weren't his, a child's room, broken dolls, an empty classroom, walls lined with peeling yellow paint. He passed a tree etched with dozens of names. He recognized some: Ava, Jess, Toby. His name appeared last. And underneath, a phrase, freshly carved. You left them behind. No, he said aloud. I tried to help. But the trees didn't care. They whispered his name from every direction, dozens of voices overlapping, children, adults, even his own voice. Miles. Miles. Miles, he ran until his lungs felt like knives. The forest stretched endlessly, warping space around him. But then, through the fog, a clearing. At its center, a perfectly preserved school desk. On top of it, a note. Folded. Waiting. He approached. The handwriting was shaky, childish. Miles. You didn't listen. You never listened. So now you're staying. With us. He turned the note over. It was blank, until ink bled through slowly, spelling a single word. Smile, smiley face. He dropped it. And from behind the trees, dozens of children stepped out. All identical. All pale. And they were all him. Different versions. Ages. Expressions. But all smiling the same crooked smile. Cliffhanger, one of them stepped forward and whispered. We'll help you remember who you really are. Toby's eyes weren't right. They were glassy, staring past Miles. His mouth twitched into a half-smile. Toby? Miles asked. Toby didn't answer. He whispered instead. Over and over. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Miles backed away, heart pounding. Something moved behind Toby, fast, inhuman. The whispering got louder, now coming from the trees, the ground, the sky. Suddenly Toby collapsed, like his strings had been cut. And in the dirt beside him, carved with fingernails, were the words. Let me out. Miles turned and ran. Straight into Harlan. Alive. But bleeding. Miles blinked. The clearing emptied again, no children, no doubles. Just silence and the buzzing of blood in his ears. Then a voice. Miles. He turned sharply. Toby. standing a few feet away, swaying slightly, arms limp at his sides. His clothes were torn, face smudged with ash. But it was him. Or at least, looked like him. "Toby." Miles whispered. "You're alive." Toby didn't speak. His mouth hung slightly open. His eyes were blank, cloudy, like he hadn't blinked in hours. Then his lips moved. But the voice that came out wasn't his. It was a child's voice. "You don't remember the game, do you?" And the moment Miles stepped back, Toby smiled. Cliffhanger, from behind Toby, something mimicked Miles's voice, perfectly. "You're next." Toby stepped forward, arms twitching unnaturally. Then he began whispering, quiet at first, then louder, faster, like a mantra. "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here." The words began to echo, multiplying around them, as if the trees themselves were repeating them. Suddenly, his head snapped toward Miles. He spoke, but his lips didn't move. "You broke the rule. We said never leave the circle." Circle. Memories crashed into Miles's brain like glass shattering. A bonfire. A circle of stones. Children sitting, whispering, playing a game. He and the others had played it once, long ago, at a summer camp. A joke. A dare. A game called Whisper Tag. But they'd laughed and walked away. And now it had come back. "We're still playing," said Toby's empty eyes. Cliffhanger, behind Miles, he heard his own voice whisper. "Tag." Miles backed away, heart pounding. Toby dropped to his knees, convulsing. Then he froze, completely still. And from his mouth, without breath or movement, came another voice. "Let me in." Miles stumbled. Every instinct told him to run, but his legs wouldn't move. Then his own mouth opened, involuntarily. And he whispered back. "I didn't mean to leave you." His hands trembled as they moved without command, scratching lines into the dirt. Circles. Runes. The whisper wasn't in the air now. It was inside his skull. He slammed his palms over his ears, too late. The words were already seated. Toby looked up, one eye twitching, blood pooling beneath his nose. "Now it's your turn." Cliffhanger, Miles looked down. The symbols in the dirt were glowing. Suddenly, the forest floor opened beneath Miles like a trapdoor of fog. He fell, into a vision. A memory that wasn't his. He stood in an old school hallway. Flickering lights. Lockers rusted. A clock ticking backward. Ahead, a classroom door. Open a crack. Inside, children sat silently at desks. Every one of them was wearing a mask, paper faces of him, Ava, Jess, Toby. At the chalkboard stood the child. The one from the window. The drawing. The photo. He turned, slow and unnatural. He smiled. "You forgot the rules." He raised a hand. On the board, words appeared in white chalk. "To stay out of the forest. You have to finish the game." The child stepped forward. Reached out. Touched Miles's chest. The real world was worse than the nightmare. The trees were whispering again. But now, they had mouths. Tiny ones, grown into the bark. Moving. Breathing. Some laughed. Some cried. Some whispered his name. Miles walked like a ghost through them. Every step took more effort. His hands were cold, his breath shallow. Then he saw a tree with his own face etched into the trunk. Underneath it. Still playing. Behind him, soft footsteps. He turned. Toby again. Smiling. And from every direction, the children's chant returned. "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. But now it was inside him too. The game had only just begun. Cliffhanger, from the shadows, a new voice echoed, Ava's. Miles? It's not me. Harlan grabbed Miles by the jacket. You saw it, didn't you? Miles nodded, too shocked to speak. It's not a ghost, Harlan rasped. It's a memory. But it's alive. And it's stuck. Stuck where? Here. In the woods. In us. Miles helped him up. Where are the others? Harlan shook his head. The forest is playing tricks. It shows you what it wants. Your fears. Your guilt. How do we stop it? Harlan looked at him, dead serious. You don't. You leave. Or it keeps you. And behind them, the burned bus started its engine. Even though there was no one inside. Ava, Miles, and Harlan reunited, barely. Jess and Toby were gone. Or changed. Or taken. It didn't matter anymore. They ran. They didn't speak. They didn't look back. The buses disappeared behind them, swallowed by the fog. By morning, they stumbled out of the woods, dirty, shaking, changed. They reported what happened. No one believed them. No buses were found. No photos. No footage. The forest and Peekaboo remained just trees, according to authorities. But in the weeks that followed, Ava started dreaming in whispers. Harlan saw faces in mirrors. Miles received voicemails with static, and a child's laugh. The story was over. But the message remained. I'm here. To this day, the forest near Peekaboo remains untouched. Hikers go missing. Campers speak of whispers at night. No one stays long. And if you ever find an old school bus deep in the woods, don't go inside. Because some things want to be found. And some things never leave.